Well, good morning, everyone. We're back here with Hospitality Today Live on this very special GMID edition. And I'm so excited to introduce our next guest, who happens to be Gina Lawrence. She's currently serves as the Vice President, Event Services for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and she is the Vice President for the National Coalition of Black Meeting Professionals. With a specialty in logistics, she fulfills the role of lead planner, executing conventions, regional conferences, board meetings, and special events. Her team manages more than 50 meetings and events annually and handles their travel for the entire association. A busy lady. Gina has accumulated her wealth of knowledge and experience through her work at Strategic Analysis, The Links Incorporated, the Liaison Capitol Hill Hotel, and Art and Soul Restaurant. Also, get this, she has a bachelor's degree in comparative women's studies and a master's in public relations and corporate communications. This businesswoman is in the know. Let's find out what she has to share when she comes back. And it's going to be mostly about diversity and hybrid events. Next on Hospitality Today Live. Today's episode is brought to you by Efficient Health Solutions. It's your preferred health insurance provider for the hospitality industry. EfficientHealthSolutions.com. Well, here we are with Gina Lawrence. Hi, Gina.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I'm great. This is a great way to start out the day here on this special edition of Hospitality Today Live with GMID Day, celebrating the big day for our industry worldwide. Your credentials for such a young businesswoman is incredible. What more do we need to know about Gina?
I think you said it all.
You are amazing. You are on a roll. Let me tell you, you are definitely one of our big inspiring guests here today. So we're really delighted to have you. And I know we're going to talk about a couple things and in a very short period of time. And I wanted to at least start out with diversity. You know, it's not a buzzword. It's used in all professions. There's no doubt about that. But I think, you know, we're a little bit stuck on what really diversity really is and what it means, because it can be, you know, we don't know if we're talking about ethics, social economics, life experiences, just race, culture, ADA, food and beverage. Tell us, what does it actually mean?
It's actually all of the above, everything that you just
said.
I think part of it is just being able to think differently about how you're going about whatever it is you're working on. I think when we talk about diversity, it's about understanding that we each come with our own experiences and backgrounds and taking that into consideration. Across the board, you know, we want equity for everyone. And so when we think about diversity, it's really just thinking about, is everyone, you know, getting an equal and fair chance at, you know, whatever the topic is at hand.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad you clarified that and made that more distinct, because people sometimes don't know where diversity, the line is, or it's not. But when you're saying it's all about life experiences, that makes a lot of sense. And I know in the workforce, it was said that there's 67% of job seekers that consider workplace diversity very important at work. And 50% of those current employees want the workplace to do more by increasing awareness of diversity. And I would imagine you agree with that too.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that's important, just even as like the organizations that I work with, is that we want to do business with people who reflect what the world looks like. It's not just one-sided, one way. So the diversity is important because it shows that you are embracing different cultures, different aspects, different ways of life, and that's the way the world is. And so I know that it's really important for us to to work with organizations that are reflective of the world.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. Now, the two associations that you belong to are very powerful, and
Mm-hmm.
yet it needs to be known more about the advancement of colored people, the Black meeting planners. What is going on in that arena that everyone needs to know about and not aware of?
I would say one, just on both sectors, because I am a meeting planner, is that really that there is a ton of opportunity when you seek out diverse markets. And I think sometimes people, especially in like the current times, people may be afraid, or they may just not know how to handle, or just I think a lot of people sometimes move in fear when it comes to diversity or diverse markets. And I would say, like, not opening up yourselves to the opportunity is a mischance.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, and so since the hospitality professionals pretty much meets everyone throughout the world. I mean, we touch on everything out there, every organization, company, association. It's really vital for us to embrace diversity. And I know you totally an advocate for that as well. How do people do that? How do you embrace it?
I think one, you sometimes have to take a hard look at your settings, your surroundings, and if everyone sitting at the table looks like you, that right there tells you that you're not in a diverse setting. That's the first thing. If you walk into a room and everyone looks like you, whether it's a room full of men, or a room full of white individuals, that means that there's no diversity in that room. And so that's always my first barometer of I guess, like, people's check mark. Like, this is how you can tell if you're embracing it or not.
Okay. And so what about, let's say there's a meeting planner that actually does weddings, or an event planner that does weddings. And let's say a client from India wants to hire them to put on the Indian culture type of wedding, which is a huge party. Does that mean that event planner has to, know the culture, know the customs, or assign an employee to that wedding so that maybe they have an India background, or does it have to be that tight, or how do you connect with your customers, your clients, when you should know more about it, be knowledgeable about it? Is that necessary, or what are some of the tricks and trades behind that?
I think one, it's definitely doing your research. I think part of it is, this is the perfect opportunity for you to network, with those outside of your circle.
Right.
That's the area that you've been given the opportunity in, which I think is great. It's definitely, I would definitely say, use your network of other meeting planners, and tap into those resources, because I do not think it's a smart idea to go into it not being familiar with that type of wedding, with that type of event. And so definitely getting an understanding of the cultures and the background, and like what has to happen at that wedding. So I don't think it needs to be very like stringent, and like someone can't perform, someone of another race can't perform the wedding. I definitely believe they can execute it. I think it's just more so of doing the research, but also tapping into tapping into your network of people who have either experienced it or may be of that culture.
Okay, that makes sense. And I think that would be very appreciative of the client or customer or whoever is on the other end of the spectrum, because I think then they'll feel more connected with them. They'll feel more like they understand them. And that should be something that we should be doing with everybody anyway,
I
right?
agree. I agree. I
Yeah,
mean, it just goes back to, we all come from the different backgrounds,
right.
And so sometimes it is just, doing a little research just so that you're aware.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so teams, I guess I read somewhere recently that Harvard Business Review talked about teams with diverse backgrounds actually have better results because they most likely have the facts and focus on more objective information, meaning they would have a direct impact. So does that mean employers need to hire more of a diverse group so that they can cover all areas as much as possible?
I definitely agree with that. I mean, one of the things, just as we were saying, that we all come from, different backgrounds. We have different stories and experiences, and bringing that to the table, to a table to work on a project, just makes that project more richer. But also,
Sure.
the variety of experiences really can enhance whatever's being worked on.
Right. Can you give us an example of what you have run into that may have worked or may not have worked when it comes to teams and servicing their customer, client, or servicing you? Have you ever experienced anything that really stood out where it did work or it didn't work that we can learn from?
I would say the most memorable thing, opportunities or things that have occurred have been when someone has taken the time to actually do the research, to actually know about the organization, because every organization is not going to be the same, and so having that personal touch, doing the research, doing some background information, again tapping into your meeting network to see how this meeting run in the past, how this work in the past, what are their hiccups, what are their pros, what things do they like. It really goes a long way.
Yeah, it definitely does. And so can you think of a time that this worked for you? Does this work for you all the time when you're working with others that
I can't think of a specific time, but I do know that there are, just even right now with our convention, there are certain cities who are bidding on it, but there have been, I've overheard conversations of some cities reaching out to previous cities to say hey, what are their touch points? What are the things that they really, that I need to really just focus on? And I think those things they go a long way, because you're really trying to, one, get the business, but two, service in a way that we're both successful.
Right. And speaking of that, how do cities and venues attract more diverse markets or travelers?
I think the one thing that is important about attracting the more diverse traveler is their marketing. Again, if you look at your marketing and there's not any type of diversity in your marketing, then that means that someone who looks like me may not feel comfortable in joining,
Right.
coming and arriving. So I always say that increasing the diversity in your marketing can definitely help.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Okay, so let's switch gears because I know hybrid is here, and it's always been here for many years, but it definitely stands out now that we've had a crash course on virtual and in person, trying to figure that out. And I wanted to know. And I believe 72 to 75% planners are back now trying to find
Mhm.
site selections to place their meetings. And I know it's got to be tough out there working with venues to place that hybrid process. Are you finding that you're wearing another hat, trying to work with production teams to make sure hybrids working? Are you doing hybrids? How does that look for you? What's been your experience?
So currently working on our first hybrid convention now. But what I've seen so far is that even with the production companies, is most of them, I haven't had any issues as it relates to, them being willing to help, them understanding, providing with great solutions. One of the things that I think that people should remember, or like going forward when you are planning a hybrid, is putting on a hybrid is almost like producing two separate events. It's definitely a hat that I've had to gain in this in this new reality, is the hat of a producer. So you can still have your in-person show, but the show that you put on virtually should actually still be a show. It's you need more than just to turn on a Zoom now, because you have to keep people engaged. So I always like to say that when it comes to hybrid, it's great to think of it as one show, but you really are producing two.
Well, that is interesting because I hear a different people, say, well, it's two events, one experience. It's one experience, two events.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying, it really is two events and one experience. Okay, I like that. Okay. And doesn't that make you nervous?
It absolutely does, because you want to make sure. In the past, we've always just streamed, whatever happens on the stage. So it's like,
Right.
We turn on the camera and you watch.
Right.
But when we had to go virtual, we actually produced a show, like, with music, entertainment, some
Right.
greetings. And so it was a full production. And so, it's in going hybrid, it's still trying to get that same quality for those who cannot attend in person. And so it's while I want to say it's a lot more work, it just requires a little bit more creativity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably a lot more creativity, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I always suggest, if it's in your budget or people can afford it, is to have a virtual host.
Right.
Someone who is, welcoming people on the virtual side. That part goes a long way.
Yeah, I would imagine so, because you don't want your virtual audience to be left out.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, they have been. They're just sitting in. But now there needs to be a lot more creativity involved. Like from what I'm hearing, there's planners like yourself that are actually sending the swag bags to people's homes or offices.
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to make them feel included as well.
Yes.
And then there's also some time that they get with the speakers on the side as well. So I think the whole hybrid idea is wonderful, because you can reach a larger market. You can expand your association membership even more so, and more revenue comes in. But I would imagine overall, it's very difficult to put on these two events. And do you think it'll get to the point where there'll be two different teams in order to handle that? Is that what you do in your office? You handle the hybrid and you handle the in-person, or you have to do it all?
Yeah, so I will say there are two different teams.
Okay.
There's basically an on-site, and then there's someone who is handling producing the virtual. But the two teams still have to work together. So technically you can call them one team, but it is two separate focuses.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I just feel for event and meeting professionals today. It's just an extra hat that you have to put on that just makes your job more difficult. So I applaud what you do in that situation, because I knew when we went to hybrid, I'm like, oh gosh, the planners are going to just really have a heyday with this and learn a lot too. I mean, we never had to learn the audio visual side as much as we do now. And your new relationships, the networking you have to do with the audio visual team is incredible now. Yeah, it's a whole new, and they've always been on the back end, the AV team for in person, but now they're in the front end, because you can't have your conference or convention without them. It's part of it now. So They're busy. They're busy. That's for sure. A
Yeah.
whole new network contact list for you. That's for sure. So, is there any advice that you would give to other meeting event professionals or clients out there or anybody in the industry that you would like to share pertaining to their first hybrid meeting and event?
I would say one, just be prepared. You know, like this is a new experience for many people.
Right.
So you know, you may make mistakes. You may have to do some trial and error things, but also, you know, still work that network. There's somebody in your network who has done it. Or, you know, even my first time, when we first did our first virtual, we worked with a company that just wasn't suitable for us. So the next time we knew that, you know, this is what we need, this is what, you know, we need to do going forward. And so
Right.
sometimes you have to have that, you know, those trial and errors to say like this works, or we need more, or we can enhance. And so, but one working, understanding, you know, talking to people in your network will help you to understand like, okay, well, this is what we did. This is what worked for us. So you're not really even having to start from scratch, but, you know,
Right.
you're able to get some guidance through it. So just
Good.
know you're not alone.
Right, exactly. I can't imagine pre-cons now. I mean, they used to be an hour or two long. I can't even imagine what they are now.
I I haven't had my first one yet, but I think it'll definitely be longer than an hour.
Yes, yes, yes. The details
Yeah.
that you wish your audiences, your attendees, that your members would appreciate. And they have no idea the details. Are you like that at home too?
Yes, my friends get on me about it all the time.
Yeah.
So
My husband
it's
gives me grief on that. Yeah, he's so spontaneous, and I'm like, no, we have to plan. We have to
Mhm,
plan. But
mhm.
you know, this whole pandemic that we've been through is, you know, for planners, this is not what we planned.
At
But
all.
we're really good at shifting. We're really good at
Mhm.
adapting, right? We're really good at you know, being creative when something, you know, when we want to go left, but all of a sudden we have to go right. We know how to handle that, and
Yeah.
that is a big plus for what you do and how you do it, and your association, they can't do without you. So it's a wonderful industry, and I'm glad you're in it because you obviously are already making a huge difference. And we
Thank
just
you.
want to thank you so much for joining us and celebrating GMID Day. By the way, what does GMID mean to you?
I gotta keep repeating it, but you know, I think it's just, you know, embracing the cultures. Like, you know, there are meetings that happen all over the world, and so
Right.
it's just, you know, embracing that and the differences, but still being able to come together and, you know, with one unity.
Yep, absolutely. And that's why it's so glad this is a worldwide celebrated day. And we just, again, cannot thank you enough for joining us. And I know people will probably want to get in touch with you. So I'm going to go ahead and put your contact information here, your email, and the website that they can contact you through too. Any other way that they can stay in touch with you?
Sure. I can also be found on LinkedIn. I don't have that direct hashtag or anything, but I can definitely be found on LinkedIn as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we're going to see you a lot in the coming years in this industry, and only wish you the best and the most success ever, because you definitely have what it takes. And I love brilliant business women to take a stand, and you certainly are. So thank you
Thank you so
so
much.
much again for being here with us today. We definitely again want to see you back around the industry, and I know I'll see you in person sometime too.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.